I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor.
KBLA Talk 1580. I'm dedicating that to the entire cabinet of the president-elect. It's probably a minor. Pretty sure it's a minor. Well, joining me right now, we got some political science for your morning on a Talking Point Tuesday. He is the author of the book Black Nationalism in the United States, from Malcolm X to Barack Obama. We are expecting him momentarily. Dr. James Lance Taylor will be joining us. He is, he was a former president of the National Conference of Black Political Scientists, and of course, one of our professors. He's a professor at USC. USF. I just moved him to Southern California. We're expecting Dr. James Lance Taylor, but you're also invited in 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. Let's talk about it. It is true that the white supremacists, or the new Confederates, as I like to call them, are charged up, are fired up. We were talking off the air about what happened in Ohio with a Klan march, right in an area where a bunch of black folks be at. And we saw the Trump train, whoops, I said his name, going through Montecito, which is primarily white, but it is a liberal enclave, a wealthy liberal enclave near Santa Barbara. And so my question for you is, do you think, could that happen in California? Could it happen in South Central? We've seen it in the past. I actually was at a couple of marches where we were told that white conservatives or white supremacists were going to be marching, and yet they came and turned around and left. Or remember when they were supposed to be marching on Congresswoman Maxine Waters' office, and then they some hoodsters got word of that and they turned around and left, except for, my understanding is, one guy who didn't get the memo, who messed around and found out. I think it's a different conversation, but I don't take that for granted. This is the climate that we're in right now. Okay, here he is. We've got Professor Dr. James Lance Taylor. He's an author and a political scientist. Good morning, Dr. Taylor.
Good morning.
So, it's almost hard to know where to start. But I was just talking while we were tracking you down about the immediate spike in white supremacy, the immediate emboldenment of these authoritarian neo-Nazis, white supremacists.
Welcome back to real America. The reality, Dominique, is we got lulled to sleep for the last 60 years as black people. They convinced us that they had changed. We bought the sale. But the norm is Trump. The norm is Andrew Jackson. The norm is Ronald Reagan. The norm is white racism. And they tricked black people through liberalism and the civil rights movement into trusting that white people had changed. And Trump showed us that was an interim. I understand the premise, but I don't know that the vast majority of us believe that. Maybe we did. I think maybe people believe that white women were going to go a different way this election. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's a sizable number of Latinos and a small slice of African Americans that seem to think that the president-elect is going to help them. That's next level. Well, I think, again,
Stockholm syndrome.
I stick to my point. Because most of these people you're talking about are poorly informed, poorly educated about black history. They don't know anything more about Malcolm X other than Malcolm was angry. They don't know anything about Martin King other than Martin King said, "I have a dream."
Oh, Lord.
I have an article. You're probably going to get on me about this, but I have an article, and it's called Martin Luther King, selling out Martin Luther King, or Martin Luther King to sell out, or selling out Martin Luther King. And the article actually argued that when you sample hip-hop, most of hip-hop still only regards Martin Luther King in relationship to the dream. Almost all the sampling of King is "I have a dream." Like, as if they lock, even hip-hop, I'm sticking to my point about the lack of education and knowledge over the past 50 years. And people basically don't understand Martin Luther King, even in hip-hop, with Chuck D sampling Farrakhan and sampling Malcolm and sampling your father, for example. A lot of people only in hip-hop, when they refer to Martin Luther King, the most hip-hop has done in 60 years is still focused on the dream. There are new books out. There's new research on Rosa Parks. There's new research on Martin King. And yet hip-hop hasn't gotten the memo. There's a book called At the Dark End of the Street. And that book by a white woman historian presents a Rosa Parks who, in the beginning of the book, is standing with a gun at her UNIA grandfather's house. That's how the book opens. That's a whole different Rosa Parks than sitting in the bus. But hip-hop, we never got the memo that Rosa Parks was actually a militant revolutionary black woman.
So hip-hop is to blame for the entire education of our nation?
It's part of the miseducation of the past 60 years.
Okay, Dr. James Lance Taylor, there's a lot of people that want to talk to you this morning, a lot of folks on the phone, so let's pivot right to the phone if you don't mind.
Sure.
Going to Fahima from Washington, D.C. Good morning, Queen.
Habarigani and K. Pasa, Dominique, and greetings to your guests. I just briefly wanted to say that, and I sent you a text from the Hill, and there was also an NBC report. Our community has been subject to a systematic misinformation and disinformation campaign. And it was either to encourage us to vote for Donald Trump or to stay on the couch. And these people have been on their platforms 24/7, sometimes several times a day. And this has had a large impact. That's why you hear people thinking that Donald Trump gave us a stimulus check or that the economy is so bad. And we've been having these conversations online. And just lastly, there's a guy, I'm not going to mention his name, he has a platform, and he has systematically been sending out misinformation, disinformation, and just last week he decided to share with his subscribers all the monies that are available that Kamala Harris made available through the Treasury Department for business people. But he didn't bother to mention that it came from disinformation. We are under a psyop. Some of these people some of them you're familiar with, and there are some lesser known. And I'm just hoping, as you said in the previous segment, that we will turn in the other direction rapidly once people wake up. And that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you, Fahima. Your response, Dr. Taylor.
And I agree with her. I think, and I've actually don't get into Alex Jones type paranoia and conspiracy theory, but I agree with her completely that we just experienced some kind of psyop process where a massive national, international mind game was played. Where
psyop is a psychological operation, right?
And right, like MK Ultra. MK Ultra was what the Panthers accused. Yesterday was the 46th anniversary of the killing of the black folk at Jonestown. And the Panthers said MK Ultra was in play in Jonestown. I'm saying MK Ultra type psyops were definitely used through the media, the way they looped, the way they continued to repeat, the way they downplayed all of the demonic behavior, not bad behavior, but ungodly behavior. They normalized, and I had Brooke Jenkins, a black woman prosecutor out here in San Francisco, appointed by London Breed, who just lost recently, talking about the Democrats need to get tougher on crime. And I said, well, if that's the case, why did your boss, London Breed, who was tough on crime, get voted out?
Right.
The Democrats need to be honest and go all the way left black. But they won't.
You know, me and we're on the same page with that, Doc. I feel like stop trying to be Republican light, go with a progressive agenda. That's where the action is. How does AOC and the president-elect win in the same district? How does Bernie Sanders win? Y'all need to stop being, fake Republicans. And to that example, a guy I know sent me something from a podcaster this morning who was claiming that and shared an interview with the president-elect from some time ago where he claims he helped Nelson Mandela by donating a plane. Well, that's a lie, because Nelson Mandela rented a plane from Trump Airlines and paid $120,000. But the podcaster makes it seem like he did this charitable donation of his plane to Nelson Mandela.
Right. And see, a lot of hip hop, you go back to Nelly's song, Bill Gates, Donald Trump, y'all. The hip hop certainly primed young black men. I won't say hip hop, rap. Primed young black men, and I should say some rap, for Donald Trump and making him okay and a cool white racist.
But that was sick. I mean, for the most part, that was before he was president. For the most part, that was when they just saw him as the playboy with the hot hose. And he was just like Scarface. He was almost like a cartoon character. It was before he became such a menace to our community. We're talking with Dr. James Lance Taylor, and you got a lot of folks on the phones, and we will get to you when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out.
Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stinks that just will never come out.
Oh, Downy in the rinse change.
Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
An official message from Medicare.
Couple more minutes, and we'll start this month's book club.
You know, I usually love a plot twist, but this year, I'm comparing my options during Medicare open enrollment.
You can't assume your current health or drug plan is the best one for you.
And you gotta make sure your drugs are covered. That's important.
So is saving money.
Review all your options at Medicare.gov. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Fam. Some of y'all need to hear this. If you owe the IRS $8,000 or more, if you haven't filed your taxes, or if you are going through an audit and you're fighting the IRS, you need someone on your side, an ally. Allies Tax Relief has a large team of professionals that negotiates with the IRS on behalf of taxpayers just like you. Allies Tax Relief will protect your wages from being garnished, your bank account from being levied, and your assets from being seized by the IRS. Allies Tax Relief has fought for thousands of Americans in your situation. There's no reason to be embarrassed. Don't let fear stop you from calling and resolving your issue. Call 800-854-2815 today for a free consultation. Allies teams of tax attorneys, CPAs, and enrolled agents have negotiated millions in IRS tax debt, and they're ready to fight for you. Call today for the freedom you've been waiting for. Call 800-854-2815 or visit alliestaxrelief.com. Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. with more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties: classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
The most wanted beauty gifts of the season just dropped at Ulta Beauty. From exclusive kits by Sol de Janeiro, MAC, and e.l.f. to the cult favorite Hourglass holiday palettes. And let's not forget the stunning Dyson Airwrap in Strawberry Bronze. These limited editions won't last long, so don't miss out. While you're there, why not grab yourself something special too? I mean, 'tis the season, right? Get all the best gifts all at Ulta Beauty. Head in store today.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Talking with Dr. James Lance Taylor. So many questions in this conversation post-election, our first chance to talk here. But we're going right to Damani calling us from L.A. Good morning, Damani. And thank you for the book. I did receive it.
I was checking on that. I have one issue that I'm working on right now with some other brothers. I was part of the Republic of New Africa with some other brothers. And we have one issue that we are trying to promote, and that is we want Joe Biden to resign and make Kamala Harris 47th President of the United States. And we want to do that because we want to increase the morale in the black community. We want to, and at the same time, we want to stop the Trump momentum, because everything now is revolving around what he's doing. Well, he's doing the wrong people in office according to us and the right people according to him. So we're thinking that if we can get any kind of momentum, make her the 47th president, because I think yesterday I was listening and I forgot her name. He was talking about the 46 and a half president.
Oh, Nana Gyamfi, yeah.
Yeah, I liked that. So we would definitely like to get that momentum going.
Okay, well, let's see what Dr. James Lance Taylor has to say about that. There's a number of people who have been floating this idea that Biden should step down and, swear in Kamala Harris, even though she'd only be president for 59 days or whatever. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a waste of time and it's too late. That's something he should have considered when he resigned. But Biden screwed Kamala Harris on purpose to get even with Nancy Pelosi. See, when Pelosi tried to push Biden off stage, Biden could have just gone off stage and let there be an open process. Instead, he walks out and endorses Kamala so they couldn't have the process. So he screwed Kamala by putting her up immediately with an endorsement that means she got the president, behind her. And those of us who were ignorant had no idea that Biden and Pelosi were fighting over Kamala, and they both screwed her over with the outcome. The lack of unity in the senior leadership of the Democratic Party, minus Obama.
Well, I don't know if you say minus, because he also was calling for an open process.
Right.
Even though, realistically, did we have time for an open process? I thought that was kind of that was a problem too.
But the problem is that men in politics don't understand that women need all of the unfair advantages they can get. What I mean is, here in San Francisco, London Breed became mayor in 2017 when Ed Lee died of a heart attack. London Breed had about 60 days to be acting mayor, but because she was running for office, these folk united against her and threw her out of office so she would not have the advantage of incumbency. Same thing with Barbara Lee. Gavin Newsom appoints Javier Becerra as senator, and
Alex Padilla.
Right. Thank you. And gives him incumbency, and then he ran and won. But he would not do that for Barbara Lee against Katie Porter and Adam Schiff. He would not give her the advantage of incumbency. And the nature of American politics, women typically climb from the bottom at the Board of Education level. So no politician in American history in the last 80 years can somebody show me has had more levels of climbing than Kamala Harris. She climbed 5 levels of government No man I can think of, and I'm a political scientist I teach presidential politics. I study, and there's not a single man or woman who's ever run for office who was a DA, a county attorney, a attorney general, a U.S. senator, and then a vice president. That's 5 levels of government. You can't find nobody else in American history who's done that, not even Hillary or John Kennedy or FDR or Truman or Eisenhower or Ronald Reagan. Kamala Harris had more experience in terms of levels of government achieved in her career than Obama. And yet she lost to a white man who came out with 2, Ku Klux Klan crosses in his hands and put him up like 2 middle fingers and said, this is who I am. And we still got a bunch of ignorance that responded positively to it.
Dumani, you want to follow up real quick?
Yes. I understand the anger, and I understand the frustration with the way in which the democratic system works. What I'm focused on is increasing the morale of black people and derailing the momentum of white supremacy. The white supremacy that Trump is evidenced right now.
So what I'm saying is Biden deprived her. Biden deprived Kamala of the advantage she would have gotten through incumbency. That would have been a great moment in American history if Biden had walked away instead of stepping down. If he walked away and made Kamala the incumbent, then Kamala probably would be president because she would have had the office already, which is what the Democrats have done to black women, Barbara Lee, London Breed, I could name others, where they undermine black women when they could give them an unfair advantage. They make sure they don't.
We just have about 3 minutes till news, traffic, and sports, but we'll go to Shayon from Long Beach and at least get started. Hi, Shayon.
Hi, good morning. How you doing, Professor? How are you today?
I'm great, brother.
Okay, I'm gonna throw you a lob with this one. I'm gonna throw you a lob, brother. Let's go back to the presidential election of 1876 with Hayes and Tilden, and how the following year, the compromise of 1877, where our good liberal abolitionist Republicans, the party of Frederick Douglass, in 1877 in the compromise, threw the Negroes under the bus and fed them to the wolves of the Dixiecrats, who are today's Republicans in the party of MAGA and Trump. They the same people, just a different date stamped on their behind. And how our good liberal friends did us in 1877, which is indicative of what they just did in this past election. And if you could just connect that history to today, and I'll stay on the line and listen, but I don't have a follow-up, Dominique.
Okay, gotcha, Shane.
No, I don't have to connect it. You just did. That's the point. The 1876 election is what black people should be studying. When the party that was on our side, quote unquote, the party of Lincoln, sold us out, took out the Union troops, it created the era called Southern Redemption, when the KKK, the White Citizens Council, the former Confederacy rose up again against black America. That lasted for 90 years. There is no Leroy Jones or Mary Baraka if we don't have 1876. There is no Martin Luther King if we don't have 1876. There's no Ella Baker. There's no Fannie Lou Hamer and no Malcolm X if they did right by 1876. But our own party sold us out, and that's what's happened now. But Dominique, I always say, I've been saying all my life, because I looked at what they did after the Civil War when white people reunited and nobody went to prison and Jefferson Davis died an old man, that taught me when I was a teenager that white people will always figure out a way to forgive each other so they can stay on top. They forgave Trump for all of his evil so that white people can stay on top. Just imagine the image of Joe Biden and Trump sitting in the White House together and how happy they both look. How the hell is Joe Biden just being so perfectly cooperative with Trump after what we all been through.
Oh.
The Democrats and the Republicans are together to make sure, one, we don't have a black independent party like we've been trying to do for the last 70 years.
Okay, hold that thought. I got a follow-up question on that. I got a hard stop here for news, traffic, and sports. Dr. James Lance Taylor on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Senator Mark Warner has urged STEAM to address extremist behavior on its platform following an Anti-Defamation League report on widespread anti-Semitism, racism, and extreme behavior. He calls for content moderation policies to protect users. Spirit Airlines is filing for bankruptcy but has secured $300 million in financing to help it through the process, aiming to exit by early 2025. The airline assures that service will continue uninterrupted despite recent issues and a failed merger attempt. Pope Francis is calling for an investigation into whether Israel's actions in Gaza constitute genocide. In a new book, he notes that some experts see signs of genocide in the conflict and suggest an investigation to determine if this is the case. And Beyonce will perform during Netflix's NFL Christmas Game Day when the Houston Texans host the Baltimore Ravens. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Shop early, save big all month long during Black Friday build-up at Lowe's. Get a free Select tool when you buy a Select battery or combo kit, because Lowe's knows deals. Valid 11/7 to 11/20. Selection varies by location while supplies last.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Exciting game last night at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. The Clippers held on for a 102-99 win over Golden State. The game featured the top 2 3-point shooters in NBA history, Golden State's Steph Curry and James Harden of the Clippers. Curry and Harden combined to make 8 of 21 threes. Curry finished with a game-high 26 points. Norman Powell led the Clippers with 23. The Clippers are 5-4 at home after an 0-4 start. The Lakers are back in action tonight at Crypto.com. They face Utah with a 5-game winning streak. Tip-off time tonight is 7:30. The SWAC Conference gave 1-game suspensions to 16 football players at Jackson State and Alabama State for their involvement in a post-game brawl Saturday in Montgomery. 7 players from Jackson State and 9 from Alabama State were disciplined. The conference also fined both HBCU schools $25,000. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Add confidence to every holiday adventure and get it done with a rugged and capable Chevy truck or SUV. Find your red tag. Get 0% APR financing for 36 months on select popular Chevy models when you finance with GM Financial. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Offer available on all 2025 Equinox and 2024 Silverado, Equinox EV, Blazer EV, and Silverado EV models. Monthly payment is $2,860 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 22.2%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 12/2/24.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach, transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal, prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The most wanted beauty gifts of the season just dropped at Ulta Beauty. From exclusive kits by Sol de Janeiro, MAC, and e.l.f. to the cult favorite Hourglass holiday palettes. And let's not forget the stunning Dyson Airwrap in strawberry bronze. These limited editions won't last long, so don't miss out. While you're there, why not grab yourself something special too? I mean, 'tis the season, right? Get all the best gifts all at Ulta Beauty. Head in store today.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
Dr. James Lance Taylor is with me. Phone lines are hopping, and I want to get to folks. But two things you said I want to circle back on, because I've heard people talking about how Trump and Biden were sitting in the White House together, and it proves the duopoly, uniparty, depending on which talking points you're spewing. But the fact is that Biden, it seems to me, is trying to model the normal transition of power, peaceful transition of power, just like Obama did with Trump. I mean, it's not that they're happy that he's president. They're doing what they're supposed to do customarily, right? What else? In other words, what else would you have him do? He's trying to model normal American democracy.
Which always puts us on the back of the bus. The same way Rutherford B. Hayes had a rationale for why they abandon black people. There's always a cooperation and agreement. And this is something I think we have understudied. The extent to which white people stay unified, even against their political differences, in order to prevent any other group from gaining equal footage or status in society.
Okay, so what would you have him do is the question.
Those who don't do it on their own terms. They do it by selling out and becoming light white.
Right.
Or white light.
So what should Biden do then?
Biden can do some things in terms of his messaging to the people.
Mm-hmm.
Kamala did it. Kamala had an attitude when she talked about transition. She didn't do it humbly. She basically pulled out her guns and said, I got my guns, and I'm going to pull them. I'm going to use them if I have to. But she pulled out her guns when she gave that concession speech in terms of normalcy.
Yeah,
she was
absolutely
saying,
did do
this
that.
is how you act. She was saying, this is how you act. Now, again, the problem with Biden is that the Democrats basically have done nothing to reassure black people that they have their back.
Yeah, I agree with that. Agree with that. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of reassurances for other communities, not ours. Kay from Washington, D.C., you're on with Dr. James Lance Taylor.
Good morning, Dominique.
Good morning.
Good to be with you all today. First-time caller. I want to say that I am, with all of your callers, I'm very concerned about how we are really not being involved in what is going on from here out. But I want to also say that I was listening on yesterday to a data security expert, saying that he wants to do a recount simply because he sees a lot that went wrong with those machines and with Elon Musk as well and his equipment. So I would love to know if those on your end are hearing about this or what progress we may look for it to be.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking a lot about it. It's hella fishy to me. If there were ever a team of folks that could hack an election, it would be the tech bros behind the current president-elect. But, I mean, I've called for some modeling, some statistical modeling, and can we at least recount counties or precincts that seem to be statistically impossible to go red? But I haven't heard anything from mainstream Democrats at all. And I'm talking about Joe Lonsdale of Palantir, who makes software for Western spy agencies, David Sachs from PayPal, Balaji Srinivasan from Coinbase, Palmer Luckey, who runs Anduril Industries, which is trying to turn our entire Pentagon system into like a gamify it and make it all software based, and Peter Thiel. Dr. Taylor, are you hearing anything about this? Do you have thoughts about this?
Yeah, it's a waste of time at this point. The main focus should be 2026. Everything about 2024 is over. Focus on 2026. There's going to be no recounts. There's going to be no legal challenges. It's all over, and it's a waste of our time to focus on what went wrong. 20 million people didn't show up. That's suspect. 16 million Democrats, 3 million Republican MAGA didn't show up. There's something wrong there. That's a problem that nobody's explained. But the truth is, they're never going to explain it. And if they could prove that Elon Musk and Peter Thiel did this, they still weren't going to do anything. Why? Because white people always reconcile in order to maintain white supremacy. So even if we could prove that Trump, Thiel, and Musk cheated, wouldn't look at Neil Gorsuch. What did Neil Gorsuch do as the Attorney General the entire time, except appoint Jack Smith? Other than that, this man sat back as a cop and let all this crime go on and did nothing the whole time. That's what I'm talking about.
You're talking about Merrick Garland?
Prove to me. Merrick Garland, I get them confused because he was supposed to be in his seat.
He was supposed to be in that seat, yeah. But, well, yeah, I mean, I have pondered that a lot over the past couple of weeks. Like, if you had done your job and put the president-elect and some of these other folks in jail, we wouldn't be having this problem right now. You waited so long to make any kind of moves that now, he's getting away with it because everything's going to be everything's going to be overturned.
That's how white people make sure they
am
win.
I still away?
Yeah. Hold on. Let Dr. Taylor land, and then I'll let you do your follow-up, Kay.
But I was just saying that's how they reconcile with each other and make sure that this is another example.
Kay, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I understand exactly what the doctor is saying. However, we're here now. And what they're saying is that, what if? This is a data security expert, Mr. Stephen Spoonamore, and he seems to be wanting to give us a chance to get in to see what the count is saying.
And you're saying
there's no mechanism, there's no standing, there's no legal way to do it unless they actually challenge it in court. So, like I said, it's a waste of your time, my time, and Dominique's time, and the audience time to look backward. The goal should be 2026.
Okay, but if in fact Musk and Thiel and these folks did hack, we might never win again. If we don't figure out what happened.
And the scary thing is, two of them are South African Boer Afrikaners, Thiel and Musk, and then you got a Scottish German racist named Trump. So it's almost as if,
well, that's why I call it the new apartheid.
Yeah, it's a haunting. Black people are being haunted by the past. Again, Dominique, I'm sticking to my premise. The last 60 years, we got duped into believing that they had changed. And we all became more open to white people aren't all racist. We always say it. No, they're not all racist. Well, there was a time where all white people were racist, at least in America by law. And then they got off it. Movements. And I'm saying to you, Hannah Arendt talked about war and peace. She said, war is the norm. Every once in a while, peace breaks out. And I'm saying to you, racism is the norm. Every once in a while, an Obama will happen, or a King will happen, or a Kamala Harris will happen. But America always goes back to the norm. Trump is the norm.
Okay, I hear what you're saying philosophically, but the blatantness of it, the lack of adherence to sort of regular standards of behavior, process, and even these cabinet picks do not seem to be the norm at all, Dr. Taylor.
It is. That's what I'm saying. We have gotten tricked. It was normal for white people in Wilmington, North Carolina, or Colfax, I think it was Louisiana, when we would win as Republicans, we would win a county seat or we'd become mayor, and the white folk acted like Trump did on January 6th. That's the history of America, what Trump did on January 6th. That wasn't abnormal. That was the typical white response whenever a black person beat them at the local level and they burned down towns. Look at Wilmington, Wilmington, North Carolina, 1906. Black people won the election through the Republican Party. White folks said, hell no, you're not getting it. And they lynched people and they killed people. And that happened hundreds of times. So then we get tricked into thinking, okay, the Department of Justice, the FBI, the poll watchers, after Martin King, after they got rid of the white primary, after they got rid of the poll tax, after they got rid of candy jars with jelly beans in them, we started trusting that they were doing right. But ever since the 1960s, these white folk have been trying to undermine the civil rights movement. And that was the focus of what we're seeing now. Donald Trump is trying to undo what's left of Martin Luther King's legacy and the legacy of your father and the legacy of the people of that generation. Donald Trump comes from that time. And he is trying to, before he dies, reset things the way they were in the 1950s and 60s. The problem is blacks trusting white liberals, mass media, and black elites end up falling asleep and not being like Malcolm, not being suspicious of white supremacy. We got lulled to sleep, and now white supremacy is back in our face the way it was for our grandparents, and we don't know how to deal with it because we still think they're good white folk.
Talking to Dr. James Lance Taylor and you, 800-920-1580. When we come forward, you referenced third parties. Want to look into that a little bit. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like the style, though.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Looking to improve your situation? LA County is here to help. Free Wi-Fi can help you find job opportunities, stay on top of your health, and connect with vital resources. Whether you're seeking employment, healthcare info, or support services, the internet can open a lot of doors. Don't let the digital divide hold you back. Find your connection at libraries, parks, and community centers. To learn more about these resources, visit lacountyandU.com. That's lacountyandU.com.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them, the right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I occasionally have nerve discomfort in my hands, so the things I love to do...
Let's play something, Grandma.
became difficult as I got older.
If you have occasional stabbing and burning in your hands and feet, try Nervive Nerve Relief. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use. Say yes to healthy nerves with Nervive Nerve Relief. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio, KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, indeed. Talking with Dr. Taylor here, and Paul Lee points out that David Sachs is South African also, so we actually have a cabal of South African billionaires from the apartheid wealth, sort of backing, not sort of, fully backing the president-elect. But you mentioned, Dr. Taylor, you mentioned, a third party, building third parties. And I've heard a lot of talk about that, especially when on the left, the talking point is it's the duopoly, and on the right, they call it the uniparty. But we haven't had success with third parties in our country in recent history. I feel like a lot of people, I think, unfairly blame Weston Abdullah for Kamala Harris's loss because they didn't have enough votes to really impact that. Maybe not so unfairly blaming Jill Stein. So how do we get beyond just third parties being, spoilers, and get to real third party power?
Right. Well, the infrastructure was created by your father in 1972 at the Gary, Indiana convention, where Shirley Chisholm became well known for her campaign, and also Jesse Jackson had an afro talking about nation time. I showed this to my students last semester. You got to watch the video. It's on YouTube of the Gary convention. Every black person should understand this is the next big moment in black history after I Have a Dream is Gary. Michael Jackson's hometown, Mayor Thatcher. And that was a moment where 20,000 black people came. And the idea was we should create an independent black party. Ron Walters, who knew your dad really well, advised Jesse Jackson in 84 and 88 and told him, run independent. Jesse could have run as a Rainbow Party candidate and left both parties. That's what we needed. Jesse Jackson, who I love, ran us further into the Democratic Party permanently when he should have run us into a rainbow coalition party by ourselves and challenge the Democrats at the local level only. Don't challenge them nationally. Do like the Green Party. The Green Party challenges the Democrats locally and the Republicans locally. And right now, because the Democrats lost and there's chaos and disorientation, now is the time for people of independent party mindedness and third party thinking to organize a black independent party at the local level. It should be everywhere where there's 25% black population. So Memphis, Detroit, Oakland, San Francisco, well, not San Francisco, other cities, Jackson, especially in the Deep South, we could have a black party because we really already do. It's just called the Democratic Party. Dominique, if you took the Rainbow Coalition out of the Democratic Party, we'd be back to two racist white parties in America. The only reason the Democrats aren't racist as much, it's sort of like two brothers. One's an open racist, and the other one is nice, but he comes from the same family. They both come from a racist family. One's going to call you in. The other one is going to be nice to you. That's the Republicans and the Democratic Party. And they play with us. So the strategy for black people should be to run independent parties on a local basis where they have a significant population that they can mobilize electorally. The problem is black Democrats.
Well, okay, two things about that. I mean, isn't that what Dr. Cornel West did with his Injustice for All party and Dr. Melina Abdullah? Even though they were challenging on the national level, they created their own party. And, the question is, you can say the problem is black Democrats. I am one. I think the problem is that we only roll these out every 4 years, it seems like. We're not doing the work in between presidential elections to create an actually viable party.
Right. I agree.
So what should we be doing right now? You said there's an opportunity now.
There are people in LA, there are people in every city thinking about independent parties. Statewide, it's hard to get signatures. I think you need about 175,000 signatures related to the previous election turnout and percentage of voting. So it's really hard. And both parties cooperate to make sure you don't have a John Anderson or a Ross Perot or a other guy, what was the guy from 2000, Ralph Nader. They cooperate to keep spoilers like that from happening. But when I say that, the problem is black Democrats, that comes from a book by Harold Cruz, who your dad worked with and I think went to Cuba with. When he wrote the book Crisis of the Negro Intellectual, everybody focused on that book in 1967. But another book he wrote in 1987, 20 years later, he says in a book called Plural but Equal, if black America, and this is 1986, Harold Cruz said, if black Americans had not developed an independent political party by the year 2000, that we will have reached the end of black politics.
Well, we could do a whole other show on that, but, there's a lot of panic, despair, finger pointing, and I don't think it's unwarranted, to be honest with you. But again, I'm what are the steps we should be taking now? You're saying run people locally, build up local power. I mean, what about things like getting rid of the Electoral College? How do we get to a point where we have, instead of winner takes all, we have, representative, proportional representation? How do we get statehood for D.C. and Puerto Rico if they don't go independent? Like, am I just making a list of things that, as you would say, are a waste of time or never going to happen? Like, what are concrete things we can actually do between now and 2028?
For example, focusing, and this is another example, focusing on Biden expanding, for example, the Supreme Court is a waste of time now. It's not going to happen. And Biden made sure it didn't happen. It hasn't changed since, I think, 1890.
Well, yeah, he opposed it.
1870 or 1890. So it's been for 200 years. So nobody's going to come along and change that. Look, spell out the word America on a piece of paper. Spell out America. And then unscramble it. And you can see, and this to me is a secret, it spells out I am race. Look, take America, write the word America down, and break it up. And you can spell I am race, R-A-C-E, and every letter is used. It's a game, like Monopoly. America is a race game. And the thing the average person has to do, especially a black person, is survive psychologically this game they play. But America is a race game. That's why white people from South Africa or Europe can come over here and immediately become a part of the white hierarchy, like Till and Musk and Rupert Murdoch. These three white races from two countries that colonized the indigenous black people have come over to America, become filthy rich, and they're doing everything they can to reinforce black subordination, women's subordination in this society. And that's, unless the people push back, they're going to win. Musk is trying to win. I don't know nobody on the Democratic side that's trying to win. Who? Gavin Newsom ain't. Who's trying to win on the Democratic side? Nobody.
Well, I don't know. I think Gavin Newsom is. I think that's why he sold us out on. I think that's why he sold us out on reparations. I think he's trying to win.
Yeah. I used to like Gavin Newsom. I've been here the whole time he was here. But when he did that, and he did it with a smirk and laughed, I'm like, I wish he would run for president. I will attack him every time I get a chance to in the news here, where I'm on all the time. I would never support Gavin Newsom after the smirk he had on his face when he turned down the congressional California caucus around reparations. He laughed at us.
Yeah. Well, we got 60 seconds here. Dr. Taylor, what do you want to leave us with this morning?
I want to send some love to my sister, Melina Abdullah. I admire what she did. I actually was a delegate for her, a California delegate, so I never had that experience. She gave me the experience of being a delegate to a political party. And I met Kamala quite a few times. I brought her to campus when she was the district attorney here. But I never known a vice presidential candidate like I do Melina. So I love her. And I think what she and Cornel West did is demonstrative of an example of what needs to be done more intentionally by Black people together, not just individual campaigns like this, but we need to create a mobilization around the third-party idea at the local level. And I think, for example, and I'll be real quick, in 1973, when Elaine Brown ran for city council and Bobby Seale ran for mayor, the Panthers could have run as Black Panther Party and kept it here in Oakland only and kept it here for the last 50 years as a Black Panther Party, nowhere else, not in Detroit, not New York, not Chicago, just Oakland. There should have been a Black Panther Party here for the last 70 years, and Bobby and Elaine should have run as Panthers. Instead, they ran as Democrats. And that's my point. The Black Panther Party could have left us a demonstration, an example. Here's how you do Black political party at the local level. Challenge the parties. They did it, but they did it as Democrats. The example needed to be as Black Panther Party members so that, again, your father, Ron Walters, other individuals were really committed to the idea of Black independence after the Civil Rights Movement. And we would be further along, I think, in our politics because both parties would have to negotiate with us and have to appeal to us as an organized force.
Dr. Taylor, thanks so much. Got to leave it there. News, traffic, sports, and more on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Senator Mark Warner has urged STEAM to address extremist behavior on its platform following an Anti-Defamation League report on widespread anti-Semitism, racism, and extreme behavior. He calls for content moderation policies to protect users. Spirit Airlines is filing for